Help me hit 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here I am. My name is Peter, and for 12 years, I believe marriage was built on respect, loyalty, and clear boundaries. Nancy and I weren't perfect, but we were solid. We built a life brick by brick, a house, routines, shared responsibilities. I worked long hours, provided stability, and stayed consistent. She always said that was what she loved about me, that I made her feel safe. In the early years, Nancy was attentive, present, engaged. We talked about everything: dreams, fears, stupid jokes that only made sense to us. Somewhere along the way, though, something shifted. Not suddenly, quietly. She started coming home later, smiling at her phone, being distracted in conversations. I noticed it, but I didn't accuse. I asked. She brushed it off as work stress, friends needing space. I respected that. Marriage is built on trust, right? One night, she told me she was going out with a friend. I asked who. She laughed. Not maliciously, but dismissively. Why do you care? It's just a drink. I looked at her and said, because I'm your husband. Because trust matters. Because if I told you I was going out with a woman and didn't say who, you'd care too. She rolled her eyes and said, don't be dramatic. That was the moment. Not the night she came home late. Not the first time she hid her phone. That sentence, that tone, as if being uncomfortable with secrecy made me the problem. I didn't fight. I didn't yell. I just nodded slowly, registering the cold shift with clarity and disappointment. I felt something break inside me. Not love, but the belief that we were still on the same side. That night, I sat on the edge of our bed while she changed in the bathroom. I looked around at the room we decorated together, the photos on the wall, the candle from our honeymoon still sitting half-used on her nightstand, and I realized I wasn't part of her emotional world anymore. When she came out, I told her quietly, respect and trust aren't optional. They're not threats. They're the ground we stand on. If those crack, the whole house falls. She shrugged. You're overthinking. I didn't reply. I just stared at the candle, wondering when she stopped lighting it, wondering when I stopped asking why. That was the first night I knew we weren't in a rough patch. We were in a quiet free fall. Nancy didn't change her behavior after that conversation. If anything, she became more casual about it, like the warning I gave her had just floated past her ears. The following Friday, she got ready to go out again. This time she was deliberate. Lipstick, heels I hadn't seen in years, perfume she used to save for anniversaries. She didn't say who she was meeting. She didn't ask if I needed anything. She just looked at herself in the mirror, smoothed her dress, and said, don't wait up. I stood in the doorway, not blocking her, not begging, just watching. And in that moment, I realized she wasn't confused. She wasn't lost. She was making a choice, a conscious, selfish, clear choice. I didn't speak. I stepped aside. She walked past me without a glance. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence that followed felt like a funeral. I sat in the dark for hours. No TV, no distractions. Just a man replaying 12 years of partnership and wondering how many signs he missed or ignored. When the door opened again, 12:43 a.m., she came in smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, with a smudge on her neck she didn't bother to hide. She laughed at something on her phone and looked up, surprised to see me awake. Oh, you were still up? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. She walked past, humming. She didn't say sorry. She didn't say anything. That silence, it said everything. I didn't sleep beside her that night. I moved to the guest room, not in anger, in clarity. I didn't need confirmation. I didn't need a confession. The betrayal wasn't just in her body. It was in her tone, her disregard, her decision to normalize disrespect and expect me to stay polite about it. She crossed the line. And I realized I'd crossed one too, but in the opposite direction. I'd spent too long betraying myself just to keep the peace. The next morning, she made coffee like nothing happened, offered me a mug like we were just roommates. She tried to make small talk, weekend plans, a new movie on streaming. I didn't engage. I answered only what was necessary. Short, clear, no emotion. That's when she blinked. Just for a moment, like something registered. But by then, it was too late. That day, I started taking longer walks, listening to silence like it was music. I began sorting through files, changing passwords, emotionally unplugging from a marriage that was already gone in everything but paperwork. I wasn't angry. I was awake. The days that followed were filled with a strange stillness. Nancy kept pretending things were fine, like my silence was a phase, like a good dinner or a soft joke would snap me back into place. She made pancakes one morning. I didn't eat them. She suggested a hike on Sunday. I declined. She wore the necklace I gave her on our 10th anniversary. I barely glanced. She tried everything but an apology, everything but the truth. And finally, one evening, she snapped. "Why are you acting like this?" I said it was just a drink. I looked at her, really looked, and saw a woman so used to being forgiven. She thought consequences were optional. I said, calmly, "It wasn't just a drink, it was a choice. And you've made the same one more than once." She scoffed. "You're blowing this out of proportion. I told you. I'll make it up to you." Those words used to sting. Now they just echoed. I shook my head. Respect isn't something you make up for later. It's either there or it's not. She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. But I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just stunned. By the end of that week, I had everything lined up. Accounts separated, legal advice in motion, documents in progress, quiet, clean, controlled. When I handed her the envelope with the first set of papers, she didn't cry. She laughed. Short, sharp. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "Yes. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I started loving me." That was the last real conversation we had. I stayed in the house until everything was finalized. Not out of spite, out of peace. There was no yelling, no fighting, just space. Space I used to heal, to rebuild, to remember who I was before I spent years managing someone else's emotional chaos. Now, I sit in this same house, but it doesn't feel heavy anymore. I light that honeymoon candle on the nightstand, not out of nostalgia, but as a reminder. I tried. I really, truly tried, but I won't beg to be respected. I won't chase someone who runs from accountability. And I won't live in a home where love is treated like a favor instead of a foundation. To anyone listening, hear this. You're allowed to choose peace over performance. You're allowed to walk away quietly, without explaining yourself to someone who stopped hearing you long ago. I didn't leave because I gave up. I left because she did. I just finally caught up.